Hello and welcome. My name's Marie and this is my yarn journey. Hope you are well and you've had a wonderful week. I'm definitely getting into the Christmas spirit now. The tree's not up, but I had planned to do it this coming weekend. So Saturday will be the day for putting up the Christmas tree. So hopefully I can do some nice festive videos sat in front of the tree, which I always enjoy. I've got all my stuff piled here as always. A few really interesting, nice things to talk about you today. But first of all, I'm going to mention what I'm wearing, which is the Stripe Height by Veronica Lindberg. And I love this sweater. It was one of the first ones that I'd done that I felt really fit me well. The only thing, which I've mentioned before, is I'm not sure these colours are quite right for me. Makes me feel a little bit like I'm wearing pajamas sometimes, but I love it. The fit's good. I definitely knit this pattern again. I'd highly recommend it. I don't think I went for the size that she'd recommended because I think it was a size bigger than this for the ease she'd recommended, but I don't always like things as oversized, and it turned out perfect. It really did. And I used Sandy's Gone, can't remember if it was Sunday or double Sunday in this, but it was one of those, I'm sure. And a hand dyed for the coloured stripes. But you've seen this all before many times. Probably needs a bit of a depil. A few of my sweaters are getting that way at the moment, but I'm wearing them a lot, so, and I'm having to refresh them quite a bit because it's pretty cold here, wet and miserable today. Now there might be some interruptions because I'm expecting some deliveries this morning. I ordered quite a lot of my Christmas gifts over the Black Friday weekend, and I feel like I'm getting there now. I've just got a handful left to get, which I should be getting in the next week or so, which would be brilliant. And I do like to wrap them and put them under the tree because I always think that looks very festive. Now, the first thing today that I wanted to, so I'll let you know what we're going to be talking about. I've got my Scrappy blanket, which I've obviously been working on, and I need to get my advent actually to show you. And I've got the socks that I've finished. I thought I would just recap on all the socks I've done in November because that's pretty good. And then I've got a new cast on, which I'll show you. So I have got a finished object, that's a pair of socks. And then I wanted to talk a bit about my festive book selections. And I think that's everything. So if we start with the first thing, which is the socks. Now, this one I finished near the beginning of the month after I'd been to Yorkshire Yarn Fest. And this was the Fleagle Heel tutorial that I followed on YouTube, which I thoroughly enjoyed. It's a DK weight yarn by the yarn artist. I have tried these on since blocking and they fit me lovely. I'm very pleased. How I've stopped myself from wearing them, I do not know. And then, oh no, the second pair is this one, but I've just finished these. This was the second cast on. This was another yarn. This was Henny Penny Makes, and this was from East Anglia Yarn Festival. These are all blocked and finished now. I've just finished that pair. And then this pair, which you've seen, and I've tried them all on now. They all fit me beautifully. Now, what I was going to say was, as you can see here, I've finished 3 pairs of socks. There is 1 pair of socks in my box of socks, and that was the broken rope where the colour bled. I think I finished them at the beginning of November, if I'm remembering rightly. I might be wrong with that. But anyways, even so, if you remember my reveal of my box of socks, I knitted in the previous 12 months, so from October this year to the previous October, I knit a grand total of 3 pairs of socks, and they were in my box of socks, which I opened on just before my birthday this year. And yeah, 3 in 12 months. Looks like I'm going to beat that this year. It was thanks to the yarn and glitter Cal that spurred me on, really, and then the fact that I bought at Yorkshire Yarn Festival these yarns, and I wanted to get them knit up straight away. I'd had this pair on my radar for quite some time, and I'm really pleased how they've turned out. So yeah, I've done some lovely pairs of socks there, and I'm really pleased with them. I have got some yarns out set aside. When I'll start them, I don't know, because I've made my December plans somehow in the last few weeks. In the last week, I've made my plans a bit more ambitious than they were. So that leads me into my Scrappy blanket. So I'll get my advent. If you were watching last December, you will know that I was gifted this advent by a friend, and I opened this throughout December and I added it into my Scrappy blanket, which I'd started the year before with another gifted Scrappy advent. So this will be the 3rd December, I think, that I'm working on it. Now, in January, I was very good. I even shocked myself, and I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fill this up, and then I've got it for next year, because I really enjoy knitting on my Scrappy blanket every December. So I wanted to fill it up, and that's what I've done. Now, I've not made it thinking that you can't see it or anything, but I thought if I fill it up in January, there's a high likelihood that I'll forget what colours I've put in, and it'll be a nice surprise. And these are just all ready for me to work on my blanket. And that's what I've done. So I've opened 4 days so far. I've knitted 3 of those into my blanket, and I'll show you the progress that I have made. So yeah, I just filled it up in January and put it away and forgot about it, basically. And the other day I thought, oh, I better get that out, because I absolutely love knitting on this blanket. And oh, I've still not moved my thing up. Now I can't remember. That was my, none of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I started with this purple. We'll just have to guesstimate, unfortunately. I have done a couple of extra stripes because, so I brought it out before the start of December, but I think on the first day I just did an extra stripe, which was the colour from the toe of my sock. I added that in, and I'll show you now. So yeah, the tree, I'm going to actually move that tree further down because it's very hard to see. I was knitting over my ends originally in this blanket, but I'm finding it quite bulky at one side. So what I thought was I'll just start sewing my ends in, and I've done some of them and not all of them. Sorry, I'm struggling to get this progress keeper on. I don't know why. Okay, that's on. And there you have it. So yeah, I'm very pleased with how this blanket's going, but it's very wide. So the rows, you know, I can do them in about half an hour, the stripes, which is 2 rows. And I've been knitting them all in. Like I say, I think I've done 1 or maybe 2 extra. Anytime I'm knitting on it, it leads me into telling you that I've also organised all my leftover or scrap yarns this week. I didn't bother recording it. Would have been quite a boring video, but I was inspired by Knitty Natty, and they've just moved. They've been travelling, if you don't watch her channel, and now they've just moved into a place. And she was organising her yarn stash, and she was also talking about using up leftovers, which is something that I also want to focus on doing. And she was doing them into baskets or tubs with weights. So I've done a similar thing. Now, if you've been here a while, you'll know that down here in my knitting corner, I have a lovely basket, and all my scraps that I'm intending to put in my blanket that are around the 5 gram mark, I shove in there. But then what I've decided to do is, as I use them, I often have sometimes they're more than 10 grams or whatever, so I have a smaller bit left, so I thought it might be 2 or 3 grams. So I thought I've got I think I went with 10 grams or less. So what I've been doing this week is when I've knit my stripe into my blanket, I've chucked anything that's left from that into the 10 grams or less. Then I think I did a 20 grams. What did I do? I can't even remember now. I think it was 20 to 40. No, 20 to 30. 30 to 50, and then anything over 50. Yeah, so 4 pots, and they're clear, and the main one that was quite full was the 20 grams because I have quite a few minis in there. So, but I thought if they're in the clear tubs, if they're in the weight amounts, I should then easily be, or much more easily be able to see what colours I've got and also pair them to projects. And I can also see which ones would work for socks or shorties in the 50, or gloves or mittens in the 50 gram or over sort of basket. So yeah, I'm really pleased that I got that done, and it's going to help me going forward with those plans. But yeah, so that's just to say that when I'm knitting on these, whatever's left, I'm just popping it straight into that 10 gram pot so that it's sorted and organised better for me using them up. You know what? I've forgotten to mention something before I go on to talk about my new cast out. So these 3 socks, I'm so excited about the fact that I've managed to do 3 socks in a month that I've forgotten to tell you the other big news, and that is, so a lot of this episode is heavily inspired by yarn and glitter, and I keep saying yarn and glitter because I'm terrible at remembering names. I'm sure her name is Emma, but sorry if it's not, because I do forget names so easily. Anyway, she did the sock along in November, and that inspired me, and I got through, you know, the 3 pairs of socks, which I'm so pleased about. And I'm also pleased that I've found this new pattern that I really enjoy knitting, and I found my love of 2 at a time again. And the thing that I forgot to tell you was there was prizes, and I won one. So my prize hasn't arrived yet, but I was over the moon when I found out I'd won a prize, and I will be much looking forward to that arriving in the post. And back to new cast-ons. So another thing that has been inspired by Emma of Yarn and Glitter is that she has set herself a challenge for Vlogmas. So I don't know if you've seen, I've been doing the shorts. Every time I open my little advent in the morning, I'm just doing those shorts. I've not really got the time in December. Being a nail technician, I'm very busy. And last year it was pretty difficult trying to do videos all the time, every day. I don't often vlog day to day, so I'm not really... There's loads of people out there who are better at it than me. And, you know, I might start doing that at some point, but not right now. And like I say, December is a very busy month for me with work, because everyone wants their Christmassy nails. So I decided this year that I was going to keep it a lot more chill. I was going to do little short videos just to show you me opening my calendar, and then update you properly with my blanket update every Friday when I do my normal Friday knit and chat, because that seems to fit in well with my schedule. And every time I've asked, everyone seems to be happy with me doing these Friday updates, so I'll continue for the time being. And yeah, I was watching Yarn and Glitter doing her Vlogmas, which is what I was getting round to saying, and she had set herself a challenge. So she's got a yarn advent from Knotted by Nish, I think is her name, and she's got a 24 minis DK advent, and she's going to make a sweater with it. And I was sat there on the 1st watching Was it the first? Yeah, it must have been the first. Watching her first one anyway. And it might have been the second actually. And I thought to myself, do you know what? I've been umming and ahhing about my Fibre Fox Advent from last year. Now, I bought the Fibre Fox Advent because I'd seen the previous year, Laura Penrose had actually got the Fibre Fox Advent, and that was a beautiful fade. And I decided after seeing that I wanted to get the Fibre Fox if it was fade Advent again. Now, going forward, I probably wouldn't get a fade again because I have struggled. So I got the Advent, absolutely love the colours. It's beautiful. And the problem being that for me, I like the challenge of being able to put an Advent into a wearable garment because we spend a lot on Advents. And I'm not necessarily a person who likes crazy looking clothing. So it's like a bit of a challenge to me, and also can I make it into a garment that I love to wear. Now with this fade, making it into a garment, I was in my mind, I was stressing about the sleeves, having enough yarn, doing all the maths. And I'd seen Laura Penrose had done it into a brioche shawl, the one she'd had previous year. And I've been back and forth. I've talked to you a lot about it if you've been here for any time before. And I just couldn't make up my mind. And what I didn't want to do was knit that into something that I wasn't, because I've spent all this money and I wanted the fade to shine because I love the colours and I love the fade. And I think I was putting a lot of pressure on myself. And I was also thinking that I haven't so far used a lot of scarves or shawls. So how many do I need? And I know we're all different with what we want from our knitting. And then I've also been watching Sam Rayner, and she's been doing some beautiful shawls. I think it's Right Around the Corner shawl that I've really enjoyed seeing her knit. And it's quite a simple shawl, but it's really, really nice. And she's just finished another one, which is a mixed media shawl by Blue Fern Yarns. And that's turned out really, really nice as well. I wouldn't be drawn to make that one just because it is crochet and knit together. But if you like doing that, it turned out beautifully. She did a really good job of that. Although if you're watching this, Sam, you need to block it and pin out that picot edge because it will look fantastic when you do that. That's what I was thinking when I was watching it. She was like, should I block it or shouldn't I? I'm like, block it. It's going to look so much nicer and softer and drapier. But anyway, get off my soapbox about blocking things. And yeah, so those combined and seeing Yarn and Glitter working on that sweater and being brave and just going for it. And now I'm using an Advent from last year, so I'm not being anywhere near as brave as Emma is, because she's using an Advent, opening it and knitting it into a sweater, which I think is pretty darn brave, really. But I thought, right, it's time I used it. And you know what? I would love to knit every day. I enjoy knitting every day on my blanket. So why not work every day on an Advent project? And does it matter that the Advent was last year and I know all the colours? No, it doesn't. And I've thought long and hard about the pattern because I did originally think, should I do a shawl? And it's the Glittering Snowscapes by Stephen West that I've decided to do. And someone recommended this pattern to me. I can't remember who it was, and I think it was someone on Discord, but I may be wrong. And I have calculated that for the yardage, I always say that when it's meters that I use, the meterage needed for the shawl, I can do just under 15 grams, so about 14.5 grams. That leaves me 5.5 grams. That means I can either put a stripe in my blanket, or because I've got loads of stuff for my blanket, I can make myself something to go with the shawl. So I'm thinking a pair of mittens, and I'll just, I'm thinking of maybe doing a mall effect. I've also got the Christmas Day skein. So for the Fibre Fox, I'll just grab my bag, Advent, I was that strict with myself that I didn't want to touch any of it. I just shoved it all into the bag which came with it, because I got a project bag, and it's this beautiful one because it was the witching hour last year. I also haven't even opened the stitch markers, which were these beautiful ones. How I've resisted, I don't know. But I think I was just so overwhelmed by trying to make use of this beautiful fade and putting it into a stunning garment that I just thought, I want to keep it all together. I only want to use the stitch markers when I actually do the project, and the project bag, which I've not used till now. And also I kept the fade on a rope. Now I'll just grab it and show you. Now bear in mind that days 1 to 7 I have already wound up. So this is the darker portion of the fade. I did this because this is what Laura did when she put it on a barber cord, and I've just put it on one of my cords from my old set. So the fade goes from this side to this. These are 20 gram minis. I'll be using just under the 14 grams. Like I say, I'm hoping I can do a pair of mittens to match, and maybe possibly I'm looking at doing a beret with the DK weight Christmas Day skein that I've got. So do you want to see? I have managed to knit day 1, day 2, and I am now on colour 3. My other colours have been put together inside the project bag that are wrapped up, so I won't get them out to show you them all. But it's very hard because it's bunched up a bit on this needle. And I don't know, to be fair, if my I-cord is a little bit tight, but hopefully I can block that out. And this is the progress so far. It's this way up, really. And yeah, I am super, super pleased of how it's turning out. It looks very, very pretty. I love the colours. And these are all the pinks, and then it will go into the purples. And you can subtly see the change. It's yarn overs, which if you've been here for any time, you'll know. Yarn overs, I always end up doing something wrong. And unfortunately, with this being a shawl that starts in the centre and increases out, I can't put markers in the way I would with a sweater or anything like that. In the sections I normally do, every pattern repeat, I will put markers in, so I know that's not really possible with this. So yeah, I'm quite pleased really that it's turned out the way it has. I'm about halfway through the knitting of the third colourway. Hopefully, I'm hoping that by the time we get to the end of the weekend, I'll be up to date with it. And I just thought, I enjoy knitting on my blanket every day. Why not get this out, knit this shawl, and then, you know, I will have made something at least that looks as good. A pattern that is as good as the yarn, if you know what I'm trying to say. So are any of you doing an Advent project? Have you challenged yourself? I'm really pleased I picked this up. I've had really enjoyed knitting on it, hoping I can keep up with it. Who knows? There won't be much else being knit on this month, although possibly I'll cast on another pair of socks. I've got a few yarns waiting, but with knitting on my blanket, which takes me about, I'd say actually about 45 minutes to an hour for the two rows, because they're quite long, unless I really focus and don't get distracted. Then knitting on this is quite challenging, because it's not challenging, it's just time consuming because it is lace and I've got to look at every row and I need to focus. And like I say, I am quite busy. Have I been too ambitious? Who knows? But if I can't keep up with it, I can't keep up with it. That's it really. There will be some busy days nearer to Christmas that I can't do any knitting, but hopefully on my days off or my weekends, then I will catch up with it then, because it will be so nice to have you know, a finished shawl and to have finally knit on this Advent from last year. So yeah, I'd love to hear what your Advent projects are, if you've picked up on any, or are you doing a finish it month? Because I know quite a lot of people do want to get everything finished in December to start the year off, the new year, with fresh needles, as it were. Last thing I want to talk about today is books. So I'm still reading When the Moon Hatched, although I'm very close to finishing. I think I've only got about 50 to 100 pages left in that, and I'm really enjoying it, but I have a feeling there's going to be a twist at the end, or it's not going to be happy endings, so we shall see with that one. I am itching to get it finished though, because I want to start some festive books, and I thought I'd just show you. I've got the next book in the Pumpkin Spice Cafe series, as I think of it, and it's this one. My mum's already listened to this on YouTube, and I think you can get that if you want to listen to a festive book. If you just search for that on, that's Laurie Gilmore, The Christmas Tree Farm. These are very cosy reads, really easy, but if you want to listen instead, it is on YouTube, or it was when my mum searched for it about a month ago. And I've also got, this was one that was recommended to me, and it's this one. And the first line of this at the top on the synopsis says, "He's the ghost of Christmas past, but she's not exactly Scrooge." So yeah, I think I'll probably end up reading this first, then this one, and I have actually got the next two books in the series now as well, because I used my birthday money to get those. So it'll be nice to have some festive reading to do. And yeah, I think that's everything for this week. Hope you are well. Hope you're getting in the festive mood. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Bye.